if I had a different life. Hello, my name is Lucas Moretti, I'm 29 years old, and I live in Turin, Italy. I work in a bookstore, and my life is quite normal. Every day, I wake up, take a shower, have my espresso, and walk to work. I talk to customers, organize books, and go home. But in my mind, I live many lives. You see, I have a big imagination. Every time something happens, I ask myself, what if things were different? Let me tell you about some of the imaginary lives I've created. 1. If I were a famous chef. Sometimes, when I cook pasta at home, I imagine I am a Michelin-starred chef in a restaurant in Paris. If I were a famous chef, I would wear a white uniform with my name on it, Chef Moretti. I would say things like, today's special is truffle risotto with lemon zest. If people came to my restaurant, they would wait in line for hours. Food critics would write, Chef Moretti's food is art on a plate. Of course, in reality, I usually burn the garlic. But still, I enjoy the thought. 2. If I could travel through time. Once, I was reading a book about the Roman Empire. I closed my eyes and imagined, what if I could travel through time? If I had a time machine, I would visit ancient Rome. I would walk through the streets in a toga, watch gladiators fight in the Colosseum, and talk to philosophers in Latin, well, if I could speak it. I wonder what they would think of my phone or my sneakers. Maybe I would invent pizza 1,000 years early. If time travel were real, I would visit one different year every weekend. 3. If I lived on a tropical island. On rainy days, when the city is gray and cold, I sit by the window and imagine, if I lived on a tropical island, what would life be like? I would wake up to the sound of waves. I would walk barefoot on the sand, drink coconut water, and swim with colorful fish. My job? I would be a diving instructor or maybe a writer sitting under a palm tree. If people asked me what time it was, I'd say, time doesn't matter here. Just enjoy the sun. I think I would be very relaxed. But I also wonder, would I miss bookstores? 4. If I could fly. This is my oldest imaginary dream. Since I was a child, I've always wanted to fly. Not in a plane, just me, with wings or maybe with superpowers. If I could fly, I would never wait in traffic again. I would fly over the Alps, visit my friends in Spain in 1 hour, or just float in the air when I feel stressed. If I saw a sunset from the sky, I think I would cry. So beautiful, I would whisper, above the clouds. I know it's impossible, but sometimes when I jump, I pretend I'm about to fly. 5. If I were the president. Last month, I helped a customer find a book about politics. After that, I imagined, what if I were the president of my country? If I were president, I would make reading books mandatory in schools. I would build more libraries, plant more trees, and give every person a free cup of coffee on Mondays. I believe it helps productivity. People would call me the book president. I'd have meetings with other world leaders and say things like, let's solve problems with kindness and knowledge. Of course, real politics are more complicated. But still, I would try my best. 6. If I lived in a book. Sometimes, after closing the shop at night, I imagine, what if I lived inside a book? I could be a character in a fantasy world, riding dragons, learning magic, and going on quests. Or maybe I'd be in a mystery novel, solving crimes in a foggy city. Or a romantic comedy, where I run a bookstore and meet someone who also loves reading. If I lived in a book, I think every day would feel special, full of plot twists and emotions. But maybe my life is already a story. A quiet one, but a good one. 7. If I won the lottery. Every time I see a lottery commercial, I think, What if I won €1,000,000? If I won the lottery, I wouldn't stop working, but I'd buy a bigger bookstore, with a cafe and music. I'd travel to Japan, Australia, and Morocco. I would buy my mom a small house by the lake. People say money can't buy happiness. But I think it can buy plane tickets and books. Still, since I don't play the lottery, this one is really just a dream. 8. If I could start over. Sometimes, I wonder. What if I could start life again, make different choices? Maybe I would study biology instead of design. Maybe I'd move to another country at 20. Maybe I'd be braver in love. But when I think more carefully, I realize I don't want a different life. I just like imagining them. My imagination is my superpower. It helps me understand people, write small poems, and make customers smile. 9. So, what about you? Now I ask you, what would you do if you could change something? If you had wings, where would you fly? If you lived in a book, which story would you choose? If you could live in another country, which one would it be? Imagining is not escaping, it's exploring. And sometimes, our biggest dreams start with a small what if. Thanks for visiting my mind today. Maybe one day, I'll write a book with all these stories. And if you read it, well, maybe you'll imagine something too.